Well, g'day, welcome to this video. Just thought I would make a little declaration about a certain particular thing that shows up a lot in spiritual transformation, which is the misuse of concepts, or not really the misuse, but in the immaturity of coming to term with the applicable nature of spiritual concepts. There's a lot of tripping over one's own shoelaces, and that's part of it. Nobody gets out of it without doing that at least 100,000 times. One of the comments that I just had on a video, and I don't get many comments on my YouTube videos actually. It's probably just as well, since I don't generally watch them or check the comments back very often. I just happened to notice that one of the videos had 800 views, which is incredible for me. Not that I really care, but you know, I always think if one person watches this video, it might be helpful, but 850 or something. And one of the comments was, "Who is the I that is enlightened?" Which of course is a very good question. But the mind asking that question obviously has some sense or some understanding of the nature of the fact that the I saying it is enlightened is just as illusory as the I asking the question of who is saying who is enlightened. So you sort of have to work salvation out for yourself. And you can get caught up for quite some time in all those very Zen sort of perspectives, trying to one up the master or one up the teacher, and that's the nature of ego. I remember my teacher saying to us young fellas in the class, there would be some days 100 people, 150 people sitting in the room, and he said something along the lines of, "All you young lions are just waiting to overthrow the old lion here. You're not really interested in what I'm teaching, you just want this chair." And I took that on board, and I looked at it from all sorts of sides, and I thought, well, I don't think that's really true, because I didn't really want to be doing what he's doing, even though today I was have a similar kind of position, but teaching and offering this through the conceptual mastery of the principles, at least, until mastery through the application of the principles can be studied and gone through. So there's a point where you realize that you're defending yourself with concepts such as who is the one saying that I am enlightened and everything like that. It's just a game. It's all just a game. It's just mind games. And you can ask those sorts of questions couched in many different ways for years, for decades, for lifetimes, millennia. And eventually you just sort of come back to putting your finger on your nose and going, all right, well, this is just my mind, and it doesn't matter what it is that it's saying or what it is that it's doing, because salvation is freedom from concepts, including all the concepts I'm using to express what I'm saying now. Right? None of it is true. But for a moment, whilst our minds seem to be circumscribed, and I'm using the term our and minds, plural, right? Because you have to teach this from where you find yourself, and you have to learn it from where you find yourself as well, within the framework of duality. It doesn't do any good to adopt some lofty singular position on anything in time and space. That may be the truth, but it doesn't help you break free from the bonds of the meaning that you've given the world already. All it does is puts you into some kind of transcendental escapism where you take on board the Zen mastery of the concepts and ignore the actual work, which is what a lot of people call spiritual bypassing these days. And from personal observations and from personal objectivity, looking back at the idea of an identity-based life form in falsity undergoing this transformation, undergoing this shift in consciousness as an idea of awakening, I'm quite happy to admit that I've done that and probably still do that to some degree from time to time. And it depends upon very much the situation and the event and the nature of the devotion that the student has and the commitment that the student and teacher both have to the teaching-learning relationship as to how quickly you process through the particulars that the relationship holds out for you as the opportunities to learn. So who indeed is it that is saying I am enlightened? Well, definitely I'm saying I'm enlightened. I've had a profound experience of watching the world and everyone and everything within it, including my own form, disappear and finding myself back in eternity, one with all things, and then one with God, I in he in me, and can't really explain that, so I won't dwell on it too much. But then I find myself back here. And of course, reflecting the nature of truth here, I can only truly do that, I can only actually do that representing Christ consciousness. I am that. However, for a moment, just as a point of reference, it's helpful to step up, to claim your ministry and to declare yourself to the world. Like Jesus says, what you hear in the ear, shout it from the rooftops, and whatever you experience, let people know you've experienced it, because otherwise what hope is there of having any kind of reference point for anyone or any opportunity to escape the bondage of time and space? If it wasn't for Jesus and the Buddha and Krishna and every other kind of prophet that we've had, Isaiah and everyone, saying they've seen God, they've had experiences of the divine, and they've done this and had that happen, we would still be in the dark. Luckily, we have those amongst us, and hopefully there's many now, standing up and declaring, I'm enlightened. I've had the illumination experience that occurs in the mind, and I'm here to tell you about it. It's not the truth of me, but for temporarily, whilst I still seem to have the use of this form association, I'm going to tell you of something that's greater and more beautiful and more incredible, that is brought about by having that experience, that illuminating experience in the mind, that has been with me from that day to this. Like literally been with me. And I have to talk about the me as the temporary avatar, the temporary association of form and matter and all of this sort of stuff, molecules and particles and identity-based things, until it's time not to. And that's as very simply as I can sort of put that. If I were to stand up and say to you, well, I am the Christ, that would make no sense, because nobody knows what that is. You have to experience that for yourself. But if I was to tell you that I've experienced it for myself, and you can come to know that through the application of certain specific principles, then we've got something to talk about. We've got a midway, a bridge. So an enlightened mind, or an illuminated mind, or a redeemed mind, whatever you want to call that, is indeed a bridge between the world you live in now, let's say as a human unexperienced, to a human, or from Homo sapien to Homo illumina. And from Homo illumina, that's not up to me, whatever comes after that and whatever's next at the laying aside of this vessel, which will happen. So who is the I saying that I'm enlightened? Obviously the Christ mind, using the avatar to represent a set of principles, not to represent love. Love can't be represented on earth, it can only be discovered within yourself. You can feel a certain way about it if you have an association with what you ascribe love to be on earth, but you're always going to be wrong about that because love is beyond all description. You can't describe it. It's completely impossible. So, thank you for the questions. And I hope this video, by way of declaration of the certainty of my mind, helps to perhaps clear up some of the conundrum regarding the idea of holding the figures in your own dream accountable to ideas that you're projecting out there regarding who is who and what is what, which really doesn't matter. But it's a good question. It exposes a lot, and it opens another door. So, all right, well, I'll leave it at that. Just remember, salvation is freedom from concepts, including all of these. It's tedious and laborious dealing with concepts, like it really is. It's sort of like it's from a place of coming from ignorance to knowledge, or from Homo sapien to Homo illumina. Perhaps these concepts might be somewhat intriguing and interesting and useful. And I've had people say to me, holy cow, that was incredible. I suddenly see what's going on and all of this stuff. But from my perspective, it's a story. It's like a rerun. It's like, the time to be without the need for words is upon me, and the laying aside of this vessel is not far off. I'm getting a sense of that, but who knows? Whilst it still has usefulness, let it be useful, and I'll see you in the light.